Hey, what it do, P-Town crew? Hey, let me ask you something. Let me ask you something real quick. Let me ask you a few questions, okay? How's your weight cut been going? Huh? How's your weight cut? How's your weight cut? Hey, and also, how's your summer's been, y'all? How has your summer been? UFC has had a lot of really good events this summer, so let's keep it going with my UFC 292 Sterling versus O'Malley predictions. Here we go. These are my predictions for the main card, and main card only. Some interesting fights. Good card overall. Chris Robin's coming back. Brad Tavares like him. Gregory Rodriguez like him. Anyways, main card. We're opening it up. Marlon Vera versus Pedro Munoz. Okay. All right. Here's what I have to say. I have this feeling that Pedro Munoz is going to take this. Okay. I just think when I put together factors such as the matchups, the fighting style, as well as circumstances such as short notice fight, as well as a 3 round fight, I just have this weird feeling in my gut that Pedro Munoz is going to win this by 29-28 decision, to be honest. And I say that with a heavy heart because I am a big Marlon Vera fan. Chito is arguably my favorite 135er in the UFC right now. So, I say this with a heavy heart, but I don't know. I just see, Pedro Munoz with this. And let me explain. Let me explain. Okay, on paper, Vera is the betting favorite. He has also beaten a good amount of people at bantamweight, including Dominic Cruz and Frankie Edgar, which are two fighters that have beaten Pedro Munoz. So I can see why on paper that Vera is the favorite. But you know what? I think when I actually look at it, I my gut is just telling me otherwise. Let's talk about Pedro Munoz. Pedro Munoz is a good all rounder. Okay, he can strike. He has a background in karate. He's background in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. He can strike. He can grapple. He incorporates both. He mixes things up pretty well. Okay. When we think about his recent fight against Chris Gutierrez, before Chris could ever get like a read on him, Munoz just kind of took it to the ground, held them there for as long as he needed to. And when it got back up, it was already too late. Munoz cruised to a decision. Okay. And with Vera's style, as entertaining as he is, there is some flaws in his style, and we've seen it within his last 3 fights. I mean, he's kind of one of those downloader fighters, who downloads the data as the fight goes on. He was too slow. He was too slow against Corey Sandhagen, who gave him too much puzzle pieces. Could never catch up. He was losing the fight against Dominic Cruz. He needed the finish to win, probably, and got the finish in the 4th round. Same with the fight against Rob Font. Okay, he was being largely outstruck by Rob Font, but it was because of his durability in his chin. He was able to pull ahead in the damage in the main event rounds. Right, so I think with the fact that this is a 3 round fight, not a 5 round fight, so less time for Vero to download the data, as well as just a short notice opponent, I think that Pedro Munoz is going to stay ahead the whole time. Whether or not it's holding Vera down for the entirety of a round, which I think Munoz can do. Vera is susceptible to that. That is one of his holes in his game. And just by the time he gets to the feet again, I think that Vera will just try to start downloading again. We're just like, okay, we're getting too comfortable. We're going back down to the ground again. I think that Munoz is just going to be ahead. I don't think he's going to dominate Vera. I don't think he's going to hurt him. Look, Munoz has never been finished. Okay, he's never been finished in his career. Never submitted, never TKO'd or KO'd. He's hardly been wobbled. Okay, Vera has a great chin too, and he's also never been finished. But if I see this fight going to decision because both these guys are super hard to finish. If this goes to a decision, which it likely will, I'm betting on Pedro Munoz reluctantly. Maybe Vera could pull ahead with some big shots, steal some rounds. But once again, I just think that with the matchup, I think that Pedro Munoz will retain his ranked spot again. So yeah, there you have it. Yeah, just a weird feeling. I want Vera to win, I really do, but I think that I'm gonna lean Pedro Munoz. So moving on, we have Damon Blackshear versus Mario Batista. So pretty interesting. I think at least when Batista's original opponent was going to be Cody Garbrandt, I was like, oh yeah, Batista's got this. Now I'm not as sure. I'm a big fan of Mario Batista. In case I haven't revealed. I think this is gonna be a pretty interesting fight on the ground. Both these guys, like their ground game for different reasons. Mario Batista has a good amount of submissions. Damon Blackshear, as we all know, just recently he became the third UFC fighter in history to pull off a twister, to successfully submit with someone with the twister. I think the ground game is probably excuse me. I think the grappling is going to be pretty interesting. I think both these guys are really strong. Both these guys are active on the ground, hunting for the finish. I'm very curious about this matchup, in all honesty. I would have to lean Mario Batista just because I have more to go off of him than Blackshear, and that's really it. I acknowledge my faults. I have seen Blackshear's both fights this year, and he's looked very good. But Mario Batista's also looked really good in his last four. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Mario Batista, maybe by third round submission decision. Third round decision. Okay, we'll go with that. We'll go with that. Should be an interesting fight, I think. Short notice fight for both these guys. Blackshear's still fresh. Batista's, coming off camp. It should be interesting. All right, moving on, we got Neil Magny versus Ian Gary. Now, Ian Gary is a very sizable betting favorite, the biggest betting favorite of the main card. So far, it looks like the entire event. So that's pretty interesting. I think against Neil Magny, yeah, I'd probably lean Ian Gary. I haven't really necessarily been on the hype train for Gary. I don't hate him. I'm not calling him necessarily overrated. But if I wouldn't say I'm a fan of him. Okay, so I'm not really backing him with feverish anticipation of his rise to the top. I think that it would be fun because he's got an entertaining style. But I'm gonna lean Gary on this one because Magny, I it's unintentional. Okay, this is unintentional. I don't try to do this, but as far as a lot of my gut feelings go when it comes to predicting fights, I kind of have that they're only good as their last fight type of, once again, not a mindset because I'm not trying to be intentional with it, but my gut just kind of tells me that. And if we look at Neil Magny's last fight, it was a very close fight that he arguably lost, against, was he unranked? Was that an unranked fighter? I don't even remember that fight. Whereas Ian Gary's looked pretty good. He hasn't really fought the same level of opponents that Neil Magny has. Say what you want about Magny. He's got a pretty good resume as a gatekeeper for welterweight top 10. So I think the experience is going to be pretty interesting, but also momentum is obviously on Gary's side. Yeah, I'm probably going to lean Ian Gary. I'm curious to see the grappling. I think that Magny will try to grapple, and I'm curious to see because in this division, if Gary wants to be at the top of this division, there's a great chance he has to go through some grapplers. So let's see what Gary's made of. A pretty decent test. And yeah, let's just go with Ian Gary by third round TKO. All right, moving on, we have Weili Zhang versus Amanda Lemos. I got Weili Zhang on this one. I mean, Amanda Lemos is pretty well rounded. She is pretty good. She's got TKO finishes, submission finishes. She's well rounded, but Weili Zhang is just even more so. I think she's just a better version of Amanda Lemos. She's just a powerhouse. In addition to being well rounded, she is just a powerhouse. Tough as hell, strong as hell, relentless. She's like a small bear, dude. Like, she's a scary woman. Okay, and I just lean Weili Zhang winning this. Now, I'm not going to act like I'm the most versed in women's strawweight. Okay, I once said, I think earlier this year, that I did like what was her name? How did I forget? Angela Hill. I said I like Angela Hill in strawweight, and yeah, I was pretty wrong about that. But you know, even though I'm not versed, let's just go with Weili Zhang. I mean, I'm not doing this just to you know ride the wave, go with the flow. But let's be real here. Let's be real here. Most of us believe that Weili Zhang is going to take this. Yeah, powerhouse. Round 2, ground and pound TKO. That's how I have it. And last but not least, the main event: Aljamain Sterling versus Sean O'Malley in his first main event. Pretty interesting fight. I gotta say. And okay. So I talked about my reaction to UFC 2. Was it 285, 286? With Sterling versus Cejudo. Excuse me, apologies, I already forgot which number. But I said that after my reaction that I believe that Sterling would beat Sean O'Malley. Now, what I wasn't saying was that Sterling would knock out Sean O'Malley because okay, Sterling outstruck Cejudo, right? Cejudo's a great striker. Sterling's not ordinarily a striker, and whoa, he outstruck him, so that means he's got to strike O'Malley. No, that's not what I was saying. All right, let's. I'm gonna talk about the matchup. Okay. I mean, where do I start? I think that the reason why I think that Sterling's going to win is because I think he can mix things up. Okay, he can mix up the striking and he can mix up the wrestling. Right? He has a very unorthodox style that kind of made him a puzzle piece for Henry Cejudo. And because he kind of stayed in the head in the striking, even though still close on the grappling, which some people said that Sterling dominated Cejudo on the grappling. I disagree. It was close. It's not like Cejudo got very far in the grappling either, but Sterling didn't dominate, but he held his own and he still mixed it up. That's the thing. He mixed up his wrestling and he stayed a puzzle on the feet. Took a long time for Cejudo to catch up, if at all. It's a close fight. Some people had Cejudo winning that, but point is, I do believe that Sterling can mix up the striking and the wrestling really well. Sean O'Malley, I'm sure that he's going to be preparing for grappling, okay? But I just think that if he got controlled by Jan, If Sean O'Malley got controlled by Petr Yan, I think he's definitely going to get controlled by Aljamain Sterling. Okay, and I know that O'Malley will be preparing for grappling. Like, he probably wasn't prepared to wrestle against Yan, and I'm sure he definitely is prepared to wrestle against Sterling. O'Malley's not Cejudo level of wrestling. I'm not going to try to underrate O'Malley because he does have some grappling wins. I know that he had a grappling match earlier this year on Fight Pass that he won. He submitted an actual BJJ practitioner, so he's not he's not going to be helpless up there. But once again, I think of grappler of Sterling's caliber, someone who can mix it up pretty well. I do see Sterling winning this by probably round 3 or 4 submission. Okay, what I can give to O'Malley is that, at least compared to Cejudo, is that, well, O'Malley is in his prime. Okay, he's not in his mid to late 30s like Cejudo. He's been active in the UFC since 2020, and he doesn't have to negate a reach disadvantage. I'm actually pretty sure he's going to be having the reach advantage in this fight. Oh goodness, I don't have connection in this area, so this is pretty awkward. Okay, let's see. Let's see that reach. Okay, so not by much, but point is, not that big of a reach advantage. But point is, unlike Cejudo, not nearly as close. You know what I mean? Cejudo had a huge range disadvantage where Sean O'Malley will not have that. Sean O'Malley is the more, he's going to capitalize on openings. I do see Sean O'Malley hurting Sterling. I see him stunning him, wobbling him, maybe even knocking Sterling down. But I think that with Sterling's ability to mix it up, stay unorthodox on the feet, kind of like, Sean O'Malley also kind of downloads information too. I think that before O'Malley can download, Sterling can just take it to the ground where O'Malley is far less comfortable. It's where O'Malley doesn't want to be. And I think that Sterling will stay ahead in this fight and ultimately get the submission. Okay, that's how I have this fight. I think that if Sean O'Malley wins. Oh yeah, here's the thing. This is kind of the first time in Aljamain Sterling's career in which I'm actually like neutral to the matchup. For all of Sterling's previous defenses, I preferred the other fighter. In this case, I don't really care if Sterling wins or if O'Malley wins. I'm definitely neutral in this matchup. So I think that I'll be more compelled to this fight either way. If Sean O'Malley wins, I think we'll probably have a pretty entertaining reign, however long it lasts. I know that the UFC would love to have him as champion, and especially if Vera wins this, then oh man, imagine Sean O'Malley versus Vera too. But anyways, yeah, I have this as Sterling winning, and I'm pretty neutral to this matchup. I think that once again, I see O'Malley hurting Sterling. He is the better striker than Sterling. Sterling, as unorthodox and funky as he is, he's not going to be able to outlast, outpace, or just do more damage than Sean O'Malley, at least on the feet. So that's how I have it. Sterling by round 4 submission. We're going to go with that. And there you have it. Those are my predictions. Let me know your predictions down below. This summer's been pretty good for UFC, I would have to say. And this is kind of a nice one to close out the summer for some people as we get into our normal routines, go back to school. Or for me, at my work, I work at a school. So, summer is ending. So that means school starting. So I'll be in it. So yeah, pretty fun card. And yeah, go ahead, let me down below your predictions. Who do you have winning these fights? Who do you have losing? What are your parlays? Who are you most excited to see on this fight card? Is Ian Gary right? Is he carrying this card to you? Yeah. So yeah, thank you all for watching again. And once more, I'll catch you all next time.